Okay, we're going to look at Michael's serve here. So I'm just going to run the tape and we can watch the movement. Okay, so what we're going to notice, and we see that it's consistent, is the way that Michael brings his front foot forward and cannot stay still. Now, we see that he looks to adjust to do that, to adjust for that. He knows he does it because of how far back from the baseline he's starting. So as we roll forward, what we're going to see is that at this moment, his starting position is looking rather like a decent pro position. If we bring in Roger Federer, we can see that here we are. They're at a similar place. Fed's racket is a little bit more that way, but it doesn't really matter too much. Fed is starting to bend his knees. Michael maybe is starting to bend his knees. But as we move it forward, he takes a giant step forward with that front foot, walks all over the baseline. He doesn't foot fault every time, but often. And then roll through, and he hits it like that, landing sometimes on the correct, sometimes on the incorrect foot. Actually, no, the landing is all right, except you can see it's very off balance here, right, with the body tilted forward and so forth. Now, why does he do this? The reason is because somebody has clearly been telling Michael correctly to throw the ball out in front. Why do that? Well, if we take a look at this other photograph of Federer, you can see, if we come back here, that the contact point is way out in front of his body. He couldn't do that if he weren't tossing the ball out in front. And that is ideally where you want to be making contact. So throw the ball out in front is good advice, which Michael has been getting. Unfortunately, Michael doesn't know how to do that, or he doesn't know how to hit the ball when it's out in front of him. So he tosses it in front, and then to avoid having to hit it from out in front, he brings his whole body forward, and he makes contact with the ball directly over his head. This sort of often, not in this case, you can see the arm is mostly extended, but as we move forward, we see he gets into some really contorted positions as a result here. See that here the arm isn't extended, the body is all in a big knot, and we'll see that as well. There again, the arm is bent at contact, the foot isn't even off the ground, he's so cramped from moving forward to catch up to the ball. So what does Michael need to do? He needs to do a series of drills that allows him to practice hitting the toss while taking the legs out of the equation. So if we watch this video here, we have the racket on the back foot and the ball is being struck with the front foot parallel to the baseline and completely motionless. That's the first drill in the progression to help Michael figure out what he's looking to do. The second one is here. Or actually, this is more or less the same one, but notice that we are keeping the front foot down. He's walking on the line a little bit, but keeping the front foot down and keeping that back one like that, and practicing hitting the ball, tossing to the right place, out in front, and hitting the ball there, not back behind the head, taking the movement of the legs out of it. And the third drill, finally, which looks to reintroduce the legs, involves bending the knees, and jumping and landing on the left foot with the right foot kicking back. So I want Michael, when he practices his serve, to practice keeping the feet still, and then when he gets the jump into it, letting it happen like this, and looking to make contact with the ball more out in front, right, without dragging that right foot forward, because that's contorting him into all sorts of positions and has a terrible effect on his motion.